This is the most amazing subject there is. It doesn't get better than speaking about freedom, about what's happening. This is so mysterious and so miraculous. There isn't somebody having an experience here. There is stillness experiencing itself as things. And there's not even a separation between the stillness experiencing itself as things. It's kind of really, when you break it, get into it, it's that all things are still and self-experiencing. Their appearance is the experiencing, which is so beautiful. So we thought our whole life, and we were taught and we were conditioned to believe our whole life, that we are the experiencer, and who we are is something in time. Who we are is a name, is actions, is behaviours, is what we've done, where we've been, what we own, what we look like. But all of these things come and go. They're not actually who you are. Your emotions, your sensations, everything comes and goes. But yet there is always stillness. There is always this happening. What is? No matter how fast you run, no matter how many emotions you release or how much you get away from yourself, there's always this. And this, what's actually happening, is total freedom. In this moment, in what's happening, there is no suffering. The suffering comes with you and time. All suffering is time-bound. And time isn't actually a reality. It exists in a human realm that's not actually here. It exists in past and future. But in this instant, you could be dying on the street. You could be falling down a cliff. The aeroplane could be dropping out of the sky. And in this instant, it's totally still, boundless and free. It never suffered, no matter what was appearing in it. But this is so confusing for the mind. So I say this, and what the mind hears is, I need to find stillness. I need to find the end of myself. But what the mind and the person look in is this and that. So they look in their process. They look in a way to get there, which it can never be got to because it is. But this isn't a hopeless message. This message isn't for you to take on board and say, it's pointless, my life's fucked, I'm never going to be happy. That's got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. That's to do with time and you. And while you are there, while you do appear to be there, while the illusion of you does appear to be there, it's better to work on the illusion of you to make that illusory you more balanced. Whether or not that will actually get you to freedom or not, in a way is irrelevant, because who could get to freedom? There is life happening, and while you appear, the best thing that you can do is work on tidying the cage and making the sense of self more happy. Because the sense of self becomes very unhappy. And it doesn't start that way when separation begins at the age of 1 or 2 or 3 years old. It's not that uncomfortable. It always comes with the seed that something's not quite right, that something's been lost, which is true. Wholeness has been lost. So it comes with the seed, and it comes with these two primary emotions, which is fear of being separate, so fear of this world that might kill you, and lack, a sense that in some way you are not enough. It always comes with this sense of lack, and then these two seeds, the separation always comes with a sense of lack and fear, and these two seeds, you can imagine, they grow up into trees, and they become bigger and bigger and bigger, and they form all these branches and facets, and they become very complicatedly interwoven. And a whole personality can be based on these two primary emotions. And this is why the person suffers so much. It suffers so much because these two things are followed, this sense of lack and trying to complete this sense of lack, and this sense of fear and trying to complete this sense of fear, trying to stop this sense of fear. Two trains are followed, and they get bigger and bigger, and it validates more that there is something wrong with you. and it validates more that there is something to be afraid of. And the whole of society is doing that. The whole of society is playing the game of lack and fear. So this becomes that person's primary emotion. It becomes stronger than all the other emotions, lack and fear. And it can't cope with these sensations. It can't cope with the lack and fear. It feels too uncomfortable. So it begins to cut off from what it feels and lives in the mental story that's trying to run away from it. So when it feels lack, it tries to hope and imagine a better future. But the hope and imagining a better future is feeding that lack. When it feels scared, it tries to think of ways to get out of that fear, and that grows that fear. Even with enlightenment, the imagination of getting to enlightenment is growing that sense of fear. That doesn't mean that this subject should be stopped or you should stop it, because you'll just go into society and play the same games in society, and it'll be about money and getting money. And more, there stops being this spontaneous, innocent, childlike action, and it becomes conceited and planned. Everything is about you and fulfilling those two basic needs. Every relationship, every work, ambition, your children, your home, everything is about you feeling better about yourself. And you. And it's not anybody's fault. This is what society does. This is what humans currently do. And our society is run by that. The ones that are the best at the game, the best at and have the most need are normally our leaders. So the ones that have most need to be loved are normally what's leading us. Although it's not just that, because it depends. You see, you can have a really strong need for love, but you can have very negative thoughts, which means you'll never progress in society. Whereas you can really need love, but you can have very positive thoughts. I will get there, I will get it. It depends how the sense of self associates with the world, if it's positive or negative, if it tells positive stories. So if it's always prideful and thinks it's fantastic, which is a dangerous ego, and always thinks it's doing right and well, then it's more likely to succeed. But then it means that our whole society is run by this. It's like the society is the external ego, is the external sense of self. And our society is based on always fulfilling yourself and who you are, what iPhone you have, what house you live in, what furniture you have, how do you look compared to your neighbours. Everyone's always trying to be better. And the freedom is, what you're looking for is already here. It's that all that game is appearing in. So this beingness, this aliveness, I'm reluctant to call it consciousness because it's not really consciousness, but we could say consciousness. This aliveness, this knowing is already here. This stillness is already here. And it's so free. It's so boundless. Like everything's known, everything's appearing and known instantaneously. So you think that you are looking, the one that wants a nice house, the one that wants a dog or wants to be like this or that or is in love. But actually that's never been the one experiencing. That's been an experience appearing in this. That person's experienced. There is something so still and so silent and so free experiencing itself. And the way it experiences itself is by the appearances. It's not that it's separate away, consciously looking at the appearances. The appearances are the consciousness, are the knowing. But all appearances are still simultaneously. And that's how the stillness, the emptiness knows itself, by creating. And it looks through all these forms to have all these delicate and intimate and amazing experiences. And at the moment it's created a human, and looking through the human experiences And it's been so clever and creative, it's even created this sense in the human that it's actually separate from all of this and acting independently. I mean, what creativity. That's amazing that it's done that. So everything that's appearing, everything, every sensation, every feeling is coming directly from Source, is Source, which is emptiness. This is emptiness, this is stillness, freedom, creating. Being that stillness isn't found in this world, it's not something in this world. So manipulating or consciously creating is something that's already appearing in this world. It creates freely and innocently like a child playing. And this is what humans have forgotten, that instantaneousness. Everybody is trying to plan their lives and plan who they are. And they've forgotten the joy of this play, of this dance. So what liberation is a going back to the source, which is right here. The Buddhists used to say being in the moment. Some non-dualists would say the recognition of consciousness. Some would say the collapse of self. But whatever it is it's diving into this instant to the point where all that's left is what's happening, which is stillness in movement, stillness experiencing itself in movement, and form and colour, and it's so delicious and so intimate. Just everything's like an art show, total creativity. But the human is so condensed and uncomfortable in this dream because the human's trying to be something else than what it is, of this instantaneous creativity. And this takes, in a way, it takes a warrior to listen to this, because this is so radical, collapsing back into what is and not living from the perspective of me and what benefits me. So it's like a free fall. But the amazing thing is life carries on and it kind of looks after itself. The impulses come up. You know, you were never in control. You were never running the ship. You were actually trying to drown the ship. It's so much better without you.